Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Joseph Camerlengo on the line, and he is founding partner at the Truck Accident Law Firm. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Adam. Great to be here. Thank you for having me.
So excited to get into today's topic. So we'll be talking about the importance of driver safety and what that really means. And it's important for people to be thinking about this right now with truck accidents on the rise. So we'll go over some of that and what people need to know, especially if they're in an accident or if they know somebody that has been in one that maybe they want to refer. So Joe, just to get us started, we'll start this interview like we start them all with our Mission Matters Minute. So we at Mission Matters, we amplify stories for entrepreneurs, executives, and experts. That's our mission. Joe, what mission matters to you?
Thanks, Adam. My mission is simply to make our roads safer by relentlessly pursuing bad trucking companies and dangerous truck drivers on our roadways on behalf of the victims of catastrophic tractor trailer, bus, and commercial motor vehicle wrecks. At the Truck Accident Law Firm, we just help people injured and killed, or the families of those people killed in these big rig crashes. We investigate them fully. We hold, a product has to get from point A to point B. We hold everybody in that transportation cycle accountable for the losses they occur along the way for hiring a bad truck company or bad truck driver.
So, and we'll go further into this definitely, because there's some things that you said there that I want to unpeel, especially things like what to do at an accident or at the site of an accident or after one or things like that. But before we do that, how did you get on this path to law? Like how did all this start?
Well, the path to this tractor trailer crashes is an interesting one. For me, I went to law school to be the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, Adam. I have a finance degree, conservative Republican, so when I went to law school, it wasn't to be a trial lawyer at all. And then I took trial practice and just fell in love with talking to juries and representing people and trying to kind of do the right thing. And so I was a defense lawyer for 7.5 years, and then I became a plaintiff's lawyer where I was representing the people injured and killed. And then in 2008, Tony Ann Johnson's family walked in our office. She was a 19-year-old girl killed in a head-on collision with a tractor trailer, pulling double trailers down a little county road in Florida. The trucking company was a large national company with thousands of trucks and drivers and should have never been on that small county road, and I knew it. And we investigated that case. We were able to prove that. We were able to prove that they were training their drivers to go down those little county roads to make that one extra drive per shift, which puts them over hours, but only a little bit. And it was that drive that killed Tony Ann Johnson, unfortunately. And for me, as part of the settlement, I'm more proud. Yes, we got the family a large confidential settlement in a huge tractor trailer crash case, but I was more proud that we got this large national company to acknowledge that they shouldn't be on the county roads and to agree to never drive on their county roads in the state of Florida, again, double trailers. And I was just hooked. I've been trying to litigate myself out of a job ever since, trying to get safety measures involved with large settlements in these cases that make a difference and save lives.
Well said. And the idea of getting yourself to litigate yourself out of a job, I mean, your passion towards what you're doing, really representing the families and the victims in situations like this, I mean, it shines through. So I want to go further into today's topic. So really understanding the importance of safety. I mean, a lot of people watching this, and it's not something that we talk about all the time. We drive, we think things are, maybe things couldn't happen to us, or we're not necessarily always aware. Like personally, I know sometimes I think about it, I'm on the road and maybe I'm, especially with phones, doing other things, taking a phone call, like we're kind of in an autopilot many times, or I'll say I am, I'm not going to say everybody, right? But what do we need to know about safety?
Well, first of all, there are a lot of safe trucking companies and safe truck drivers out there that care and understand. They have to be on every second of every day when they're driving that tractor trailer, right? Yeah. And we commend those companies that emphasize safety, that regularly train their drivers, that utilize the safety measures that are available to minimize and prevent crashes, like lane deviation, forward collision avoidance mitigation with automatic emergency braking, driver-facing dash cams, which prevent them from holding the phone, looking away, being distracted, side underride guards. There's all these, so that's out there. But what people have to understand is that there are many more trucking companies and truck drivers that aren't. When you're driving down that road and you see that trailer weaving back and forth, the truck driver coming close to the line, they're typically on their phone, distracted, tired, or fatigued. And you need to give them a lot of room, because when they make a mistake, people die. And it's not just this, it's the same standards don't apply when you're driving down the road in your passenger vehicle and a tractor trailer professional truck driver is going down the road. They have training and knowledge and standards that are much more stringent than you and I as a four-wheeler driver.
Yeah, I get that, and I definitely see how that can be problematic, like different standards, different companies. And so when you think about what a driver should be thinking, so let's think about like the defensive driving side of things. Like, what does that look like? So the driver that's seeing that truck, that's seeing those other things, like what does that look like?
Well, I mean, there's some very simple things that you can do to protect yourself and your family. Number one is pay attention to signs of a distracted or fatigued driver. If you see the truck shifting in the lane, if you see an aggressive driver, so truck drivers are trained to drive like their wife and children are in every vehicle around them, the good ones. So when a vehicle gets in front of them, they're supposed to slow down and create that sure, clear distance that they need, because they take longer to stop, to swerve, to change lanes. They're supposed to be patient, take a breath, and move back. Too often we see that truck driver get up on the car in front of them to teach them a lesson, right? Because they're frustrated. Those are the signs that you really need to watch out for when you're driving around a tractor trailer, and you don't ever want to get pinned in beside them, right? So if there's a truck driver and then a Jersey barrier or another lane in vehicles, slow down and wait till you can completely pass that truck before you get caught next to it. Because if there's a tire blowout, if the truck driver makes a small mistake, you know, the saying in our industry is last in line is first to die. You don't want to be last in line.
Yeah. Give us a little bit of maybe a peek behind the scenes of what you see. Like after an accident happens, after something happens, like take us through that process, because you've obviously worked through many of these.
Yeah, it's you know, the statistics are staggering. There's almost 5,000 people killed every year in the United States in cases involving large crashes, large trucks and buses, and another 148,000 on average injured every year. So that's every day, almost 14 people killed and 405 people injured just in these crashes with tractor trailers and buses. So it's very, very important that you understand these are very different. And one of the big things we see is that the police officer almost always gets it wrong. Almost always our decedent, you know, the family's loved one that's lost, or the person that's seriously injured, is never telling their version to the police. Because they're in a hospital, they're unable to talk, they have a brain injury, they're not alive, and so the police officer only gets the story of the truck driver. And the vast majority of our cases, the police report says the person I represent, either the injured person or the loved one's family member, is at fault for the crash. Do not rely on that. It is absolutely wrong most of the time.
Yeah, I get it. And it makes total sense, because obviously they're not, and maybe it'll be pretty helpful to give us the differences between maybe a car accident and a truck accident, because what you just said, I mean, that makes total sense, especially in the documentation.
Absolutely. And here's where a real trucking lawyer makes a difference. Okay. In a car wreck, it's typically, you know, you're in a car wreck with me, you have a car and it's your car, or you're borrowing somebody else's car. So there's two people at fault. Everybody knows the same rules apply to both. And there's some traffic statutes that apply to the crash. In a tractor trailer crash, it is absolutely, it's about as complicated as a plane crash, although less people involved. Federal motor carrier safety regulations apply. National industry standards for safety. The company's own trucking standards, the state's traffic laws for commercial motor vehicles. Not only all of that, but there's a lot of car crash lawyers and PI lawyers on billboards and TV and radio advertising for trucking wrecks. The vast majority of them are not experienced trucking lawyers. Just because you've handled 100 truck crashes like a car wreck lawyer doesn't make you a truck lawyer. In the vast majority of cases, they don't even know that there's separate coverage on the trailer. So in these catastrophic wrecks, Adam, we see people go hire some lawyer that's advertising. Oh, look, they advertise for truck wrecks. They must be experienced. And they hire them, and there's $1 million policy or a $750,000 minimal policy, and the person's a quadriplegic or seriously killed. And
Yeah.
those lawyers don't know any better, and they settle for the 750 or the million. An
Hmm.
experienced trucking lawyer is going to go, that product had to get from point A to point B. We're going to investigate. We won't settle that case until we know everybody involved in moving
Yeah.
that freight and everyone that charged as part of that freight,
Hmm.
that freight movement. All of them can be brought to bear in those cases. So that's where we come in. And we don't settle those cases for $1 million. We settle those cases for tens of millions of dollars in the right circumstance. Not in every case, but in
Yeah.
almost every case, there's more coverage. And the car wreck lawyers that treat these truck wrecks like car wrecks don't even know
Hmm.
that.
You mentioned certified. Is there a separate certification or board certification that goes into this?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
The American Bar Association has two organizations that it authorizes or blesses to establish national certifications.
Hmm.
One of those, the main one, is the National Board of Trial Advocates. And we were part of the original group that we actually formed, the Academy of Truck Accident Attorneys. I mean, a couple of my partners, Mike
Wow.
Reisman and Joe Freed, for the purpose of establishing board certification. And so now through the National Board of Trial Advocates, there is a national vetting process and testing process
Hmm.
for someone to achieve board certification in truck accident law.
I want to go further into the truck accident law firm. So tell us a little bit more about the firm.
Well, our firm handles tractor trailer and commercial motor vehicle crashes all over the country. We're based in Jacksonville, Florida, my home. We do have offices in other locations, including in Atlanta and in Ohio. And so we pride ourselves in having more board certified truck lawyers than any other law firm in the country. And we are, I mean, it's all we do.
Hmm.
Other than a friend or family, one of our employees was in a car crash, so we represent her. Other than that, it's all tractor trailer crashes and bus cases.
Now, I think you said this, but I want to make sure I didn't miss it. So you operate nationwide, yeah? So they don't have to be in Florida or Jacksonville, anything like that for these accidents, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
We go all over the country.
Tell us a little bit more about just your vision for the firm overall, like, and why you chose this specific niche, and like why you're just so passionate about this. Because whenever I see somebody that, whether it's in law or otherwise, that has that passion, or they just find like this niche, and niche might even be the bad word here, but they are not the wrong word. But they find their niche or their passion. They find like what they're attracted to. Like, why pick this area in law?
That's a great question, Adam. I need to have something I'm driven in and driven to, right? So these are complicated. Even what could appear to be a simple simple crash to a car wreck lawyer, to a regular person looking out from on the outside, these are very complicated cases that almost all the time, the amount of time and passion and energy you put into that case is going to be directly proportional to the recovery for your clients. And we're making a difference. I mean, we're not representing people injured in, soft tissue, not to minimize those cases.
Yeah.
We're not doing slip and fall case. I mean, we're representing people injured, quadriplegic, burn cases, killed, and making it and helping those families make sense of the tragedy, what happened, and then getting them as much recovery as we can for them to take care of their future, and trying to get a safety initiative change in the company so that doesn't happen to another family ever again. So it's easy to be passionate about that.
Yeah.
And I have kind of a motto that one of my mentors said early on in my career: do one thing and do it better than everyone else. And that is our motto.
And the thing is, especially, when you think about the way that families are affected by these types of accidents, whether, somebody that can be a quadriplegic or no longer with us. I mean, these are big. This is a big deal. So when you think about the settlement value, and especially in the case that, they're going to be incapacitated and still and need care for the rest of their life, or are no longer able to work, things like that. I mean, 750,000, $1 million. I mean, for some people, that might sound like a lot of money, but the cost of care, all these other things, it's so important to make sure that there's something there, that there's assets, and there's whatever amount of funds they're entitled to, that they get that amount of funds to make sure that they're taken care of for the rest of their lives. So tell us a little bit more about that and like what you've seen.
Well, and you raised an absolute perfect point there. We have two quadriplegic cases going right now. One, a 34-year-old mother of two, single mother of two, who slowed down for a school zone flashing sign and was rear-ended and is now quadriplegic. Another one is a young man in his late 20s, just about to turn 30, who's a quadriplegic. their
Mm.
life care plans, meaning just the cost to take care of them
Yeah.
in their medical needs, their durable medical equipment, the chairs
Mhm.
they need, right? We have a double amputation case going in Maryland. I mean,
Yeah.
just to take care of these people is millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And all of that goes to the supplier of the medicals,
Yeah.
uh, the pharmacies, the doctors.
Mhm.
There's not $1 in that for their mental pain and suffering and for the
Wow.
change in their life. And so that's where it's so important that you hire a lawyer that understands how to go up the
Yeah.
transportation cycle beyond the trucking company to the logistics company, to the shipper in the right case, not in every
Yeah.
case. But if they're controlling that freight, if they vet this motor carrier and it's a bad motor carrier and they had that information, then they can be held liable and
Mhm.
they should be.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's the thing when we start talking about, millions of dollars, things like that, like, and people think about that, they may think that's a lot, but the amount that, paid, like just the amount to keep the actual medical care part of it, I mean, can be astronomical. So like what you said, I mean, when I think about that and you look at the overall situation, if somebody's thinking about, hiring somebody that's not, let's say, board certified in this particular area, or that doesn't really have that much expertise, and they settle for the initial 750 or a million or whatever it is. I mean, and now, that doesn't cover the cost of their care going forward. They're pretty much out of luck. Like you're not going to find other, like, it's not like they can just go work. It's not like they can just, unless they have a family that is very well to do or something like that, like pretty much out of luck.
Well, yeah, it's not only that, but they become Medicaid patients, which
Yeah.
means we're all paying for that care.
Yeah.
And there's a trucking company and truck driver. There's people who should be held responsible for that
Mm,
cause that care.
mm,
And although it seems like lots of money, it
yeah.
really isn't.
Yeah.
I have never, we recover 8-figure results. I mean,
Mhm.
we settled a case not long ago for a woman and a man and woman who lost their 10-year-old boy in a head-on
Mm,
collision with a large double tractor trailer on
yeah.
the interstate. Terrible crash. We
Yeah.
settled that case for, you know, tens of millions of dollars, confident
Yeah.
tens of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And that when we at the end of that case, when we handed them their check and the disbursement, they
Yeah.
didn't want it. They
No.
literally went and you could see like, no, that's not the value of my child's
Yeah.
life. It's not. And
Mhm.
so everyone thinks it's a lot of money until it's their family member and
Yeah.
they feel that pain and that loss. And they know, I mean, I had another 19-year-old girl in my first early cases,
Mhm.
Not Tony Ann, sorry, Alexandria Dugas. Tony Ann Johnson was the first one. I remember her dad, when we talked to him, his
Mm.
words will always ring out in my mind when he said, they tell you that time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
That ain't true. I
Mm.
think about my daughter and it gets worse every day. So
Yeah. Yeah, I knew this was going to be a heavy one, Joe, a heavy interview, but I knew this content had to go out. I knew people needed to be educated. I knew they needed to understand, their rights, and also to know those tips, like all the things that you mentioned in terms of really taking the idea of your safety and when you're driving and thinking about the trucks around you, and to notice the one of the great ones that you shared that I'm gonna take away with me today is looking for aggressive drivers. If you see somebody, kind of inch up on another truck, on another car that maybe cut them off or something else, instead of backing up, of thinking about that, like, okay, this person might be a little aggressive right now. I need to get in another lane. I need to do something else. Like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I do know this. I don't want to be by that particular individual at that moment. So a lot of these tips that you gave, I'm going to take away with me. I hope that my audience does the same. That being said, if somebody's watching this and they want to learn more about the truck accident law firm or to follow your journey, I mean, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, first of all, thanks for covering this story, Adam, and for having me. I really appreciate you getting the word out on truck safety. So,
Yeah.
if you need a board for us, it's very simple. www.truckcrashlaw.com. That's our
Yeah.
website. My initial is JVC at truckcrashlaw.com, or
Mhm.
it's easy. Send it to team@truckcrashlaw.com, and my whole team will get it. We have an 800 number, 888-511 truck. It's nice and easy.
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook, Twitter at Joe Knows Trucks. And if you're looking for a board certified truck accident lawyer and you don't want me, go to the National Board of Trial Advocates website, and you can actually find a board certified lawyer in any state in the country in trucking.
Awesome, Joe. And for the audience, we'll put all of that information in the show notes. So really, you can just go click on the link and go to all the sites that Joe mentioned. We make it real easy. So Joe, final question. I know you got a lot going. I know you got busy caseload. I mean, what's next? What's next for you? What's next for the truck accident law firm?
We're just going to keep fighting every day, Adam. Fighting, we fight for our current clients, and unfortunately, we get calls every week on more cases. I wish we had unlimited amount of time and resources, because we would take every truck case if we could. But what's next is just to keep fighting.
Awesome. Well, again, Joe, thank you for coming on the show. And to the audience, as always, thank you for tuning in. Hope you got a lot of value out of this. Hope you learned a lot. Don't forget those safety tips that Joe shared with us, thinking about aggressive drivers around you, like being aware, like thinking about like if a truck is kind of veering in and out of a lane, like maybe they're a little drowsy, maybe they've been driving a little too long. Like all these things are important. Like these accidents can be catastrophic. You want to make sure to keep yourself and your family protected. Don't take it for granted that an accident can't happen or that you can't be involved. So this was a really important interview to make sure that you and your family are safe. So again, Joe, appreciate the interview, and to the audience, hit that subscribe button. Many more mission-based entrepreneurs and executives and experts coming up, and we don't want you to miss a thing. And thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Adam. God bless.